So, you were 45 minutes late.
Yeah, I lost track of time.
While commenting on people, and people were telling you should have been here the whole time.
Well, like I said, I lost track of time, and also I discovered I had uninstalled Skype, so it took me about 10 minutes to reinstall it. But like I said, I was on another channel with another guy debating, and lost track of time. So I apologize for that.
Okay then, well, let's do this. I am in the Blog TV room if you want to go into there, because I'm not going to be streaming video on Skype. So,
Well,
I don't know if you have a Blog TV. If you don't, it's not important.
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, I don't.
All right, well, that's fine then. Can everyone in the room hear this? I want to make sure if they can hear this, because I have like one or two people recording it. Okay. All right, so what do you want to talk about, Billsy?
You're the one who wanted to talk to me, man. I'm here to defend anything you think I need to defend.
Well, you said you were going to destroy me if I kept standing up for Theo. So I'm kind of curious about what you're going to destroy me on.
Oh, I didn't get a chance to watch your videos. Your video.
Any of them?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch that yet.
Okay.
Two people pointed out some mistakes I made in my the video you responded to. So I was working on that. I was working on corrections for that and uploaded that today. But I didn't get a chance. I know you and Big Lundy sent me video response.
Well, let's talk about that then. Let's go with the last video you did. Hold on, let me close down a few other things so there's no other sound on my end. There we go. Okay, so you said your mistakes were literally calling Theo a baby killer, and then you also said two different things about literally being a Nazi. Because at one point you said you were only talking about him literally being a baby killer being wrong, but then you threw in Nazi after that. So are you saying he's now literally not a Nazi?
Yes.
Okay, so you're retracting your claim that he's literally a Nazi.
Yes.
Okay, so the only thing you're saying he literally is a racist.
Yes.
And what would you say your basis for him being a racist? What would you say makes him a racist? Firstly, I want to say, do you think he views people of, say, I don't know what he is, but say, does he view white people or Asian people or black people or whatever less than he views whatever race he happens to be? Do you think he views them, say, like a Klansman would view someone because you put him in a white hood?
No.
So you don't think he has any particular animus or hatred or dislike of any specific race?
No.
Okay. So why would you say he's literally a racist if he does not have a hatred for any specific race?
Let's take the example of, say, Abraham and Isaac.
Okay.
This God ordered Abraham to kill his son Isaac
Mm-hmm.
for one purpose, to let humanity know that if it tells you to do something, you better do it without question or without any remorse.
Okay.
You just have to do it. So, let's say for the sake of argument, I'm just going to say this God is a racist. It has ordered the slaughter of other races.
Let's say Canada, for purposes of this conversation. For the Canadians. Let's just say let's say he hates the Canadians, so we're talking about a specific group.
No, I'm talking about stuff specifically written in the
Okay,
Bible.
so now you're talking about So we're talking about the Bible, and you think he hates a specific race?
Yes, he favors the Jews.
Yes.
Over all other races, ordered them to slaughter
Mm-hmm.
other races, and has slaughtered other races in favor of the Jews.
Mm-hmm.
Would you dispute that?
Yes.
Okay.
For two reasons.
All right, we can get to those in a second.
Okay, but I would say I don't agree necessarily with what you just said.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Okay.
All right, so we disagree on that.
Yes.
But that's my interpretation of Christianity.
Okay.
So, due to the story of Isaac, that you must do what this God says, you must believe this God is right, you must believe what this God says is true,
Mm-hmm.
and what you must believe is this God like most Christians say, has a plan of some kind or other.
Yes.
So if you must believe, so in my interpretation of Christianity, that God is racist. So if you must believe that being racist is good to be a Christian. So if you believe, in my opinion, that this, I know many Christians would not say that God is racist, but that's my interpretation of this God.
Okay.
So my interpretation of a Christian is a person that must literally be racist to worship this God, because this God is literally racist. If they say if the Christian says they are not racist, then they're not worshiping this God, because to this God, races are separate things, distinct things, and some are better than others.
Okay.
In my interpretation of this God. So that would make a person that worships this God, by default, literally a racist.
Okay. Now, my problem with this is that, again, you're, I guess, admitting that there are multiple interpretations of Christianity and how you can read.
No, I'm not admitting that.
You're not, but you just said your interpretation of the Bible and of Christianity.
Yes, because you told me you didn't agree with what I said. So I say that's my interpretation.
Right, okay.
But I don't believe there can be interpretations.
Why?
Because that would, if someone believes there's a hell and someone doesn't, then if their interpretations are valid, if they're allowed in Christianity, then they're both right.
No.
And they can't both be right.
Not necessarily. You can have disagreements and still worship this and still be a Christian. That's why there are disagreements, because there are multiple interpretations. You're basically saying that there can't be multiple interpretations because there are multiple interpretations, is what it seems like. Because again, people read the Bible. People read the Bible in different ways. They come out with different things, and a lot of Christian doctrine is not in the Bible. Like, say, Catholic injunction against suicide. There's not really a biblical basis for that. That comes from, I believe, Augustine.
I'm not even touching on something. I'm not even touching on something like that.
But it matters for the purpose of the conversation, because people don't just look at the Bible to determine their beliefs.
In Christianity, some Christians believe there is a hell and some don't.
Yes.
That means there is, but in the actual, this is in their minds. But the actual Christianity, the thing that they're talking about, hell has to either exist or it doesn't. What they think, what they're going to interpret it, what if hell doesn't exist, it doesn't matter. It's what the actual Christianity says. What's in their heads, one of them has to be right, one of them has to be wrong. They can't both be right.
Not necessarily. I would say they're both wrong, because there's no such thing as hell. But
well, we agree on that.
Right. But I mean,
but you do get my point.
I get what you're trying to say, but I would highly disagree with it. For instance, so let's say take two people who call themselves Christians, right?
Yeah.
And the only thing they disagree on is who goes to hell.
Right.
Right?
I guess so.
Okay, so you have those two, which are basically identical in their beliefs, except for that one thing. You know, one could be more right than the other. Like, assuming there was, like, let's say for purposes of this conversation, the Roman Catholic Church and its teachings are correct.
Okay.
For purposes of this conversation, of people who aren't Roman Catholic could still be Christians. They could just be doing a few things wrong. And they could just, but I mean, since there is no person or God is not coming down to rule on who's metaphysically correct, it's not one you can demonstrably prove. Not even, well, anyone other than a biblical fundamentalist would say the same thing. They can't demonstrate that what they think is true, or at least that their version of Christianity is true. It's just the one that they believe is true. I really not ran into a Christian other than some hardcore evangelicals who would say that other Christians aren't actually Christian because of certain doctrinal differences.
That's really not my point. Let's go back to where you said there are two Christians that both believe there's a hell.
Yes.
But they believe there are different, they believe the people that are going to hell, they disagree on.
Yes.
Is that what you said?
Yes, basically there is a hell, but you know.
They disagree on who was going there.
Yes.
Well, one of them is right or wrong. To discover which one is right, then you have to go to the actual thing, the actual Christianity, to find out.
But there is no actual Christianity, not as a unified, specific belief and just some guy's wrong on it. I mean, it's not like...
Then you just said Christianity does not exist.
No, I'm just saying there's no definitive version.
No,
it's not
if you cannot agree, if there's no way to agree on what Christianity is, if one person can't say who's going to hell, then there's nothing to talk about.
What about economics?
Something has to exist to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, they have an idea.
You can't if they can't decide what that thing they're talking about is, there's nothing there for them to talk about.
There is. Yes, there is. I can talk about plenty of things that don't exist. I mean, I talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and it
doesn't exist though. That doesn't. You can talk about. I can talk about who gets blocked.
Yeah. I mean, there's no such.
It doesn't exist.
I know, but they still talk about it and believe it. See, here's the thing. You're saying it doesn't exist. No, what doesn't exist is there's no 100% true, correct version of this. There's no way you can demonstrably prove this. It's like saying, look at economics. I mean, there are disagreements amongst different schools of economics and different people in those schools. Does that mean economics doesn't exist? What about, say, the Republican Party? I used to be a Republican, but I was fine with gay marriage and universal health care. Does the Republican Party not exist? You can have doctrinal disagreements, but there can still be this general umbrella thing, which is, say, Republicanism or Christianity or democracy or economics that people agree exist, and they just debate about what's actually there or what's the right thing to do about it. And Christianity is the exact same way.
I'm not saying Christianity as an entity doesn't exist. I'll put it to you this way. Some things only exist because the human mind exists. Your thoughts, what you think about something.
Yes.
Christianity exists because we know Christianity exists because there's a book they call the Bible that they say contains Christianity. And so we know Christianity exists. Now, inside the minds of people, this one person, like you said, he says these certain people go to hell, and this other guy says those certain people go to hell.
Okay.
That Christianity in their heads is the one I'm talking about. Doesn't exist because they don't agree. So they must go to the actual entity, the actual thing they're talking about, to find out which one of them is right, what Christianity actually is. But what they got from that actual entity, the actual Christianity, is that they can't decide what that actual entity is. So the Christianity in their minds does not exist. The actual entity, no one knows what it is because no one can decipher it. Because everyone disagrees. Everyone believes they can interpret it for themselves.
Well, everyone can interpret it for themselves, and that's kind of the point with a lot of these concepts. They're not objective. Like I don't know.
Point. That's my point.
So you agree that there's
if hell can exist and not exist at the same time, Christianity, even as an entity, does not exist.
No, it exists. They just disagree on
what terms, hell has to exist or not. For a Christian, in Christianity, it has to exist or it does not.
And
one person cannot interpret it as existing, and one cannot interpret it as not existing.
Sure, they can.
It either does or it doesn't.
Sure.
The interpretations. Well, I don't know how much better I can explain.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. I mean, of course it depends on interpretation because they can't take a scenic trip to hell. They can't verify it. So all they have to do is go off of verses and infer things, or they might just say, if they're not a biblical literalist, which Theo is not, he would just read it and say, I don't personally know what he believes about it, the hell or existence thereof.
He would read what? He would read what? The Bible?
He can read the Bible and read a bunch of
doctrine. And he can come away from it with whatever he wants.
Yeah.
then anyone can do that.
Yes.
So then I've been attacked by many people telling me what I say Christianity is not Christianity. So by that definition, what I say Christianity is Christianity.
If you want to attack people who believe that. There can be no debate
or no disagreement with what I say Christianity is.
Well, that's Christianity to you, but you can point to...
No, that's what you just said it is.
No, I said it's Christianity to
interpretation, and anyone can decide for themselves what it is.
And that's Christianity to you. But if you're basically then saying that these people who are also Christians share these beliefs and I'm going to attack them based on what I think Christianity is, and they sit there and say, well, I don't believe that, you're
missing
out of luck.
The point. My point is not to attack. My point is to point out that this cannot be. You cannot. You cannot interpret Christianity. If you can interpret Christianity, then that means everything in the Bible is literal. Everything in the Bible is not literal. Everything. It means it's simply logically.
Well, if you're talking
impossible. The Christianity you're talking about is simply logically impossible. The Christianity in people's minds is logically impossible.
Well,
it doesn't exist.
Well, it clearly does because people believe it. But I mean, clearly you can say clearly
Christianity. The Christianity in their heads, they're referencing a thing they call Christianity.
Yes.
That thing they're referencing in their heads, they cannot agree upon. If they cannot agree upon what that thing is, then no one can tell you what the actual belief is. The person that tells you that hell does exist and these certain people go there can't tell you that. The other person can't tell you what his beliefs are because he doesn't. The actual source cannot be deciphered.
Okay, but basically, again, people have multiple interpretations.
Yeah,
and then you're saying that you can't interpret Christianity, but you have your own interpretation. I mean, again, you do.
I have no interpretation.
I
put out an interpretation to show people that if they tell me my interpretation is wrong, they'd have to prove it. But
they would. And
to prove it, they have to prove what Christianity actually is and what it is not.
Yeah, and they can't.
It's not Christianity.
And they can't do that.
Christianity is not open to interpretation. If I can be excluded from that talk, because my Christianity is not Christianity, then Christianity is something and cannot be interpreted by anyone.
You might have noticed something, by the way. All the people who are defending Theo have not defended.
This is about Theo. This is about.
No, this gets to the point I'm talking about here. The people who have defended Theo and what you said about him and Christianity have not defended Theo's interpretation of Christianity, nor have they said his interpretation is correct. All they've said is that what you are saying about Christianity does not apply to what he believes Christianity is. And there are disagreements. And what you're saying would make sense if you're talking to someone who is like Shock of God or Nephilim Free or these biblical literalists who believe all of these things. And what you're saying to them would make sense and would be a perfectly valid argument as to what they say. But you're not. But the things you're saying don't apply to Theo or even most Christians. They can have disagreements. And they can't objectively prove that they're right. It's not falsifiable, and that's fine. I mean, notice, I don't accept Theo's interpretation of the Bible, because I don't think there is a correct interpretation of the Bible.
See, you're still missing my point. I am not attacking Theo Warner's personal beliefs. I am not attacking anyone's personal beliefs.
But you did.
No. I'm simply pointing out that his beliefs cannot be Christianity if it's open to interpretation.
Why?
Because then after he tells me his Christianity and I tell him then what Christianity is, then my interpretation is Christianity.
For you, yeah.
No, it is Christian. If anything can be Christianity, then Christianity it's hollow. That means hell exists and it doesn't at the same time.
No, it just means it's an idea.
That means God turned a woman to a pillar of salt and didn't at the same time.
Depending on what you believe.
All right. Hey, that's as clear as I can.
I mean, it depends on what you believe. I mean, I don't know how up you are on politics.
It's not about belief. It's about interpretation. It's about what Christianity is. If Christianity can be anything,
yes,
then it doesn't exist. It's like saying a rock. It's like if you're gonna pick somebody up, and like I was saying to Theo Warner, you're gonna pick somebody up because they want you to take them to a concert, and they ask you to pick them up in your car. And they wait all day because you spend all day trying to pick them up in your cupcake. It's just, you cannot call a cupcake, you can call a cupcake a car if you want to, but it's not a car, and you can't pick anyone up in a cupcake. And you can try as hard as every Christian in the world can try as hard as they want to tell me that Christianity is open to interpretation. But logically, that simply means they are saying that hell does exist and hell does not exist at the same time.
No, it doesn't.
Period.
How does it mean that? They're saying they disagree with those other guys and they think they're wrong, but it's open to interpretation because they can't prove it.
Their minds say that. But what is the actual entity? What is actually the thing they are talking about? What is Christianity?
It's an idea in everyone's head.
In there, hell actually literally exists or it doesn't.
But there's no actual thing. There's no one. You're still stuck on there's like this one objective definition and explanation of what Christianity is, and it's like look at say
you're the one stuck on that thinking that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that.
What is actual Christianity then?
That's what I'm asking. That's why I posited a definition of Christianity for someone to oppose it.
Maybe
for the purpose of pointing out to them that they can oppose it, because according to them, Christianity is interpretive, and their definition, for them to say my definition is excluded, they must tell me what Christianity is. But they can't exclude my definition because they don't know what it is.
I don't think I would agree that most people don't know what your definition of Christianity is. To be as blunt as possible with that, because what I don't know if you're actually just being deliberately obtuse, or you actually don't understand what I'm saying. I'll put it to you this way. It's simply as I can put it. Theo Warner and every other Christian has their idea of Christianity. Yes.
They all believe, when you get down to the specifics of the actual entity known as Christianity, they all have their own separate actual beliefs and interpretations of it.
Yes.
Now this, I acknowledge, they all have their different interpretations of it.
Mm-hmm.
But all their interpretations are based on an actual thing called Christianity. In that actual thing, if it says in that actual thing that interpretation of my contents is valid, then it is actually admitting that whatever is in it is invalid, because any interpretation is now true. Any interpretation. Hell exists and it doesn't exist. People go to hell and they don't go to hell. God turned someone to a pillar of salt, and it didn't turn someone to a pillar of salt. Everything is Christianity. A cupcake is now Christianity. You can call anything Christian. It doesn't matter what it is. That entity, that actual thing that is Christianity, is the only place you can discover what Christianity is and what it's supposed to be in your mind.
But you keep saying that there's this actual thing, and there's not. I mean, ever since the beginning of people.
About. The actual thing is the reason I have my channel, the reason I'm an atheist, the reason you're an atheist, is because of that actual thing. What's in people's heads, it's not that actual thing.
I'm an atheist because I've never believed in any God. Christianity in and of itself has no bearing on that.
Yes, but that's included in that.
But there's no actual thing. You seem to think that
what you're doing is you're combining. You can only argue for there actually being a God and then not being a God. What you're trying to do is combine your own beliefs with theists' belief that they believe. You're going to have to stop doing that, because that's just nonsense.
Wait, whose belief how am I combining my belief that there is no God?
You'll say in the same breath, Theo belief is open to interpretation, but his God doesn't exist.
Yes.
How am I supposed to debunk, well, Theo believes God exists, but I'm going to say God doesn't exist, so you're wrong.
You could easily debunk if God exists or not. Well, not
you're
easily.
Either going to have to stick to people that believe this thing exists, or people that don't, and do not combine the two.
What am I combining? I'm not combining anything here.
Yes, you keep saying in the same breath.
Yes.
Theo is allowed to interpretation of his God.
Yes.
But you're wrong because his God doesn't exist.
I think his God doesn't exist.
That makes sense to you.
What, that Theo has his own interpretation of God?
That you saying Theo is open. Theo is allowed to interpretation of his God, but you're wrong, Beelzebub, because his God doesn't exist. Tell me that makes sense to you. That is what you are doing.
I'm saying that Theo can honestly believe whatever the hell he wants to believe, but what I'm saying is the beliefs you seem to be assigning to Theo are not beliefs he holds.
And I keep telling you that's not even the point.
Okay, well, I mean, you're saying I'm sitting here combining two different beliefs when I'm not. Again, people will interpret their personal God, if they have one, to be whatever the hell they want. That doesn't mean it exists.
You just did it. You just combined your beliefs with theirs. You're going to have to separate that. You can only talk about their beliefs or yours.
What?
You're going to have to talk about Theo Warner, and you're not going to, if we're talking about Christians, don't then try to qualify stuff you say with but their God doesn't exist. That makes, if that makes sense to you, then.
But so I can't talk about a belief system that I don't believe in? So I couldn't talk about, say, Greco-Roman religious beliefs as like a cultural thing? I mean, what, you think talking about mythology can't happen unless you believe in it?
Wow. In one breath, you say Theo Warner believes his God exists.
Yes.
And Theo Warner is open to interpretation. But what you said is wrong, Billy Bob, because his God doesn't exist.
Yeah, his God doesn't exist. What I'm saying is...
But you stick in you're wrong, Billy Bob.
Well, you're wrong about what he personally believes, and you're wrong that there is an actual Christianity. You're wrong that there's an objective Christianity.
I never said there was an objective.
Well, you keep saying there's actual Christianity, so clearly if it's actual Christianity, there is one specific thing when it's not. I mean, you do realize at even at the very, very beginning of the creation of what became Christianity, there are a myriad of disagreements even over just the divinity of Jesus. Was he a man? Was he all man? Was he just a divine being? Or was he part of the triune God? Or what the hell was he? There have been multiple fights over these things from the beginning of the thing. There was never one actual, quote unquote, actual unified Christianity.
I'm not saying that.
You just keep referring to actual Christianity as if there is a thing. All everyone's saying is that there are different interpretations of it. There is no actual Christianity.
You just said there are different interpretations of it.
Yeah.
So then you're saying there is an actual entity called Christianity.
There's a belief system, but people vary on the different beliefs, and people vary on what the beliefs are.
That belief system is the entity.
And people disagree on what the belief system entails. Hence, there's no unified...
Now that we've got that, here's my point.
Okay.
Every Christian has their own interpretation.
Yes.
I come along with my interpretation.
Yes.
All these other Christians don't like it.
Yes.
So they tell me my interpretation is not Christianity.
Yep.
How are they able to do that?
Because they don't agree with you. It's as simple as that. They don't agree with you. That's why I keep saying I don't believe it's metaphysically true. That's why I keep saying they're wrong.
And that is the crux of my argument. They don't agree with me, but that doesn't mean it's not Christianity. No one knows what Christianity is, so no one can say what their Christianity is Christianity, or that mine isn't.
They can't do it. They can't do it objectively, and they can't prove it. And I don't think anyone here is claiming it. And no one here has claimed they can. But that's not your point. I never said anyone was. But you're here calling Theo a racist.
I'm just making the point that if you cannot decide what Christianity is, what that entity you call yourself a Christian for is, if you can interpret it, then it's anything. The only way you can find out what it actually is to go to the actual entity, the actual thing, and discover what it is.
You're really not making a point. Again, they're just going to say whatever it is. They're going to have different reasons for believing what they want to believe, and that's it. There's nothing really deep about this, and if this is the main crux of your argument for why you think you can call Theo literally a racist and claim that he would go and murder people based on what his God says to him without even asking him or asking him what he believes, that's why you're wrong.
That's my point. I don't have to ask him. I can make up my own Christianity.
So I can just say then that you want to fuck dogs? And that's accurate?
If I believed in a religion that says...
No, why does it just have to be religion? Why does it just have to be religion?
It is about religion. That's my point.
No, religion's an ideology. Or do you believe in democracy?
Yes.
Okay, then you want to fuck dogs and you want to murder Indians.
There we go. Part of democracy.
I say it is. I say it is. Don't you have the freedom to fuck dogs, Billsy?
No. It says in the Bible to murder children, to slice open pregnant women and rip their fetuses out.
Doesn't say I can't. Well, in democracy, it says I have the freedom to do what I want, Billsy.
It says that in the Bible. So that is what I'm going to call a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your point and others' point is that is not Christianity.
No, that's not my point. That's not my point at all.
That is my point, and that is...
That's not my point at all. That's
my point.
That's fine, but you just said that my point is, referring to me, you said that I'm saying that that's not Christianity. No, all I said is that's not what Theo believes.
Interpretation. You just said they can exclude my interpretation. If they can exclude it.
Yeah, and you can exclude theirs. There you go. Welcome to interpreting a concept and an idea. My only point is, and the only thing that people have been complaining about here are the fact that you're saying that Theo wants to go around murdering people. You're calling him a Nazi, or saying he's indistinguishable from a Nazi, depending on the time of month. All you have to do
is prove that that is not what Christianity is.
No, I don't. All I have to do is prove
that that's... Yes, you do. That's what you are trying to tell me, that interpretation of Christianity... It's not acceptable to you. If it's not acceptable to you, you have to prove
Billsy, no. What I'm saying is,
it's not acceptable.
Are you just going to keep talking over me, or can I finish?
Go ahead.
The point is that that's not what Theo believes. I don't have to.
I don't care. That's not the point.
So
how many times do I have to tell you?
So you don't care what Theo believes, and that's not the point.
All I'm doing is giving an interpretation of Christianity.
But you're saying that Theo believes all of these things.
That's my interpretation of a Christian.
But that's not what he believes. Well, my interpretation of democracy, and you believe in democracy, is that you think it's okay to kill Native Americans and fuck dogs.
Then you will have to show me a democracy book that says that is what democracy is.
Well, we killed the Indian. I'm part Cherokee.
I can show you a book that contains what you...
I can show you a history book. Have you ever heard of the Trail of Tears? My people were moved off of Georgia and sent into Oklahoma. So obviously that's part of democracy, right? So you're fine, of course. No, it is. The United States, a democratic state, did this.
What is the... No, you want to define democracy.
No, it's part of democracy.
No, all right. If you can't see the difference, then hey.
Well, I think I'm fairly comfortable to stand on what I just said. Again, you're assigning beliefs to Theo. No one is caring about whether or not your interpretation... Yes, you did.
I simply gave my interpretation.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You said Theo believes these things, when that's not what he personally believes. You did do this.
Theo believes these things if he is a Christian.
No.
He is those things if he is a Christian.
No.
That's the point you're missing.
No. But that's not a point.
Interpretation of Christians in Christianity, because I'm allowed to give.
Basically,
I'm allowed to interpret.
Yeah, you can. You're
any way I like.
You're allowed to say.
According to Christians in Christianity, interpretation is a lifeblood.
You're allowed to say and interpret anything you ever want. I mean, but then again, it doesn't make it true. And what you're saying about Theo, yeah, you have. You said he's literally a racist.
That is my interpretation of a Christian and Christianity.
No, you've literally said. He said he was literally racist. And my interpretation is that you think it's okay to kill Indians and fuck dogs.
Yes, but you will have to show me the book that I
don't have to show you a book.
You will have to show me the book I subscribe to that says that.
You say you believe in democracy, and well, that's what I define democracy as. That's what you're doing, Bill Z. Bob.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
I guess you don't. I'll take the democracy thing.
Okay.
Democracy. Let's take slavery in democracy.
Yeah.
Slavery is democracy, is what you're going to say, because slavery existed in a democracy.
Yeah. By the shitty logic you're using.
Slavery existing in a democracy is not democracy, is slavery. Do you get that?
They're not synonymous, but it's part of it, according to you.
The ripping open pregnant women is in Theo Warner's book,
and slavery's in the Constitution.
Slavery is not slavery. Yeah, it might be in the. No, I don't know.
No, it's in the Constitution. Slavery, by the way, Bill Z. Bob. Under the Constitution, you get counted as 3/5 of a citizen.
In the Constitution. In the
Constitution, according to democracy, also women can't vote. And by the way, if anyone listening to this doesn't own property, none of you can vote either. So there we go. That's democracy.
I have no reason to doubt you. If that is in the United States Constitution,
in the original Constitution, unamended,
that's what's in there. Democracy, and I do not dispute.
This is the point I'm trying to make, though, Bill Z. You can't take your interpretation of an ideology and a belief and then just assign it to every member of that ideology and belief and say that's what they believe.
See, this is where you're getting me wrong again. I'm not assigning. This is my interpretation of what Christianity and Christians are. So it's assigned to them by default because that's my interpretation. Whether Theo Warner believes or would actually do any of those things isn't the issue. That is my interpretation of Christianity.
Okay, well, that's your interpretation of Christianity. Then why use Theo? Why not just make up a random Christian name? I don't know.
Because Theo was
John.
The guy I was debating.
I wouldn't really call that much of a debate when you just, again, said out of, like, by fiat that he would do these things, and that's not his belief.
It doesn't matter. That is my interpretation.
Well, if it doesn't matter, then why did you even talk to him? And why did you want
to point this out to him? That if anyone can create any interpretation of Christianity, then that's what he is, because that's my interpretation.
No, that's not what he is.
If he doesn't like it, he now has to prove that is not Christianity.
No, he doesn't.
Yes.
No, he doesn't. All he has to do is prove that he doesn't believe that. That's all he has to do.
No.
Yes.
I'm not saying. I don't know.
He doesn't care what your interpretation of Christianity is. No one gives a fuck what your interpretation of Christianity is.
I don't give a shit if they do. That's not my point. You seem to be missing. It's not about what I think Christianity is or it isn't. It's about the ability to interpretation. The people saying that they are allowed to interpret Christianity. So I gave my interpretation of what a Christian and Christianity is. People don't like my interpretation, so they want to jump on me for it. All they have to do is
no one's jumping on you for that. No one is jumping on you for your.
They're not jumping on me. But what I mean by that is they simply want to show me that my version is invalid.
No, I've not done that.
What are you doing now?
I'm telling you that your beliefs about Theo are wrong, and you probably
You're not trying to prove my interpretation.
I don't give a fuck about
I keep telling you, it's not about Theo's.
Then you should make a video apologizing to Theo for calling him all these horrible things.
That is my interpretation of Christianity.
So it's about Theo. No one cares about your interpretation. No one cares.
Christian. He's the one I happen to be debating.
So you think? This thing. No one cares about your interpretation.
So then, what are you doing here?
I'm here talking to you about the bullshit you said about Theo and all kind of other people.
I guess you care about my interpretation.
No, I care, cousin. I care about what you care about. I care about what you said about Theo.
You got another topic?
This is what we're talking about. I mean, again, you keep saying you're going to destroy me. So far, I think...
I have, but you just don't see it.
Well, I think time will tell. I mean, I think if you're going for your... mission accomplished, George Bush on a carrier moment, you're going to be just as disappointed as he was. This lighter sucks.
Anything else you got?
Not really, no. I mean, that's basically it. I mean, again, apparently it's not about Theo. You really... I mean, I'm honestly just stunned at, honestly, how obtuse you are here. And just... not grasping simple points. I mean, there are people here who are definitely not on my side on this and not on Theo's side on this issue at all, and they are not happy with this. Let's put it that way.
All right, well.
I need a better light. God damn it. Oh, well. So, yeah, I mean, if you're going to stick with, well, it's not about Theo, and I don't owe him an apology for all the horrible shit I said about him, I mean, I don't really know what more there is to be said, other than that you're willing to flat out lie about someone and what they believe. And that you don't care about being accurate, which just goes to show that you basically are an atheist or an anti-theist, fundamentalist, a bigot. And really, I mean, I really see no difference between you and someone like Shock of God or whoever saying all kinds of horrible shit about atheism. An atheist by default.
Well, let's take that.
Okay.
Shock of God saying bad things about atheism.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me. But let's say Shock of God says atheists are baby killers.
Yeah.
And I want to prove to Shock of God, and I in return tell Shock of God he's a baby killer. I tell Shock of God I'm not a baby killer, and Shock of God tells me he's not a baby killer.
Yep.
I pull out Shock of God's Bible.
Yeah.
And show him in the Bible it says to slice open pregnant women and to rip out their fetuses.
Sure.
I say to Shock of God, this proves you are a baby killer, because to believe in your God, you must, as he did with Abraham and Isaac. You must do whatever this God tells you to. So you are a baby killer. You may not have literally killed a baby yet, but you are. So then I asked Shock of God to pull out a book that shows atheists are baby killers. Shock of God can't do that.
So it's only what's in a book now that matters to define a
That's
belief?
all I've been trying to tell you. This isn't about Theo Warner. This isn't about Christianity. Well, Christianity, yes, but not in general. This is about interpretation. How they can say that that what I say Christianity is and what they are is invalid, but what they can say it is valid, even though all of them have different perspectives.
But no one is arguing that with you. That's not what anyone has argued about with you.
All right.
That's what no one has argued that though. No one has argued that because none of us are Christians here saying, "Well, I'm sorry, your version of your interpretation is wrong." No one's really said that. At least I haven't.
That's because that's not my point. I don't care if people say my interpretation is wrong. I'm only asking Christians to prove there is an interpretation of like I said, every interpretation makes every Christianity valid. It makes everything. Anything can be
right, and I don't think anyone really cares, and no one's really fought that because they don't care.
If you don't care what that entails, that is basically the destruction of that is basically the destruction of Christianity. That is basically the destruction of all religion.
How?
If they cannot prove what their religion is, then there is no reason to believe this religion.
Wow. And I thought we weren't supposed to be bringing up what we personally believe about the existence of a God or not. Like I said.
What are you talking about?
Well, you just said there's no reason to believe in a God if blah, 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 blah. I don't...
If you cannot prove which Christianity is true, that means you cannot prove the existence of a God.
Yeah, it's unfalsifiable.
No, Christians already believe there is a God.
Yeah, and it's unfalsifiable.
There you go again, mixing your own atheist beliefs with theirs. You must get in their mindset that this thing actually exists. That's their starting point.
Okay, so they actually think it exists.
Huh?
Yeah, so they think it actually exists, and there is a God. And
all right, now, what?
Okay, yeah, so they think there's a God, and they think it's real. Okay.
All right, now, they think this God sent them through whatever means a religion they're supposed to follow. Now, they cannot tell. They all have these different interpretations of it. Some of them think this God told them that there's a hell, and some think this God didn't tell them that there's a hell. So, but only one of these things is actually true. So if they can't decide which one of these things is true, then they cannot even posit a God exists, or this God is just a complete idiot that cannot get across a point. If this God is a complete idiot, that simply means, and unless Christians believe that God's an idiot, it simply doesn't exist.
Okay.
And that's my point, to prove that God doesn't exist. This isn't about Theo Warner. This isn't about his interpretation. It isn't about anyone's interpretation. It's only that in Christianity, interpretations can't be allowed to exist because if they exist, your God doesn't.
I do not think that logically follows.
All right, why not?
Just because people have different interpretations of things doesn't mean it exists. Their God might have something better to do. I don't know. Again, I'm not a theologian, but
so that means their God is hiding then, right?
No, I don't know.
If the God,
he could be playing golf. I don't fucking know what they think.
Holy book, that means the God wants humanity to know it exists. Am I correct or not?
Maybe. I don't know. Again.
Why would it send down a holy book to teach people about itself if it didn't want people to know?
Maybe it doesn't care if everyone knows it exists. I don't know. I'm not pretending to know what a fictional character would think.
And so there you go again, trying to mix the two. Let's keep it to the people
well,
that believe it.
They believe different things too. They believe different things too. Some people think that they are called to go and witness and preach Christianity to everyone. There is another interpretation of that whole thing where it basically says people are supposed to keep their religion to themselves. And that's what it comes down to. There's no direct answer for that.
Exactly. And if there's no direct answer, then they can't prove this book comes from a God.
They can't. I agree.
Exactly. But if they say this book comes from a God, but they can't prove it, there's no reason for them to believe this God exists. So Christianity, there's no reason for it. So my next question is, so why do you believe it?
I don't.
I'm not talking about you personally.
Well, them, I don't know. They have faith. They have faith. I mean, that's what it comes down to. It's unfalsifiable, and they have faith. And I don't agree with it. Obviously, neither do you. But they do.
And that's my point.
Yeah, and they do. And I think it's silly. Right. But this is no one's disagreeing with this. I mean, other than the Christians here.
All my point was to prove to them there's no reason, there's no evidence, but there's basically nothing.
There's
no reason whatsoever to believe this thing exists, to worship it, to pray, to do any of it. That's my only point. That was my only point. And now that I got that across to you, finally, I guess we can end this.
Okay, so you're not going to retract anything you said about Theo? You don't get that might have been a really dumb way to go about trying to basically prove the point that that you can't prove what the Bible says is true, or that there is a God, which is not something that most of us disagree with?
Well, see, this proves there is no God. No, we can't see that.
I honestly don't see how it doesn't prove that there is no God.
Say what?
I honestly don't see how that proves that there is no God. I don't believe in a God, honestly, but I don't see how that's like, in my mind, I register that the same way as saying that because I have a flashlight on my desk, that proves there's no God. I don't see how it logically follows.
Is your flashlight your God's word?
No, but I don't have one.
Well, the Bible is, they believe, is their God's word. No.
Many of them, not all of them. Many of them believe it was written by man or divinely inspired.
That's where
it comes.
I'm gonna put this to you. A lot of people say, I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube of people telling you how to debate an theist. And they say they give philosophical things like definitions and things like that. The way to debate a theist is to destroy the ability to just make shit up. That is what interpretation of the Bible is. The ability to just make shit up. You must destroy that. You must show them that that is invalid, that is not allowable. You must show them that is what keeps their religion alive. My objective is to destroy this ability of theirs to just make shit up. That is my objective. That is why I am attacking this. The Bible is open to interpretation. That is what the point is. That is not about Theo. All right, I'll agree with you. Maybe I did, when I gave my interpretation of Christianity to prove this, maybe it was a little harsh taking it out on Theo Warner. All right, it was a little harsh. I'll apologize.
Wouldn't it have been better? Wouldn't it have been better if you had, say, taken Theo as an example of someone who doesn't believe all of these things and has all these really nice, awesome, happy beliefs for the most part, and then taken, say, but you can also read it like this, and then say, how could my fictional evil child murdering Nazi believe the exact same thing and blah blah blah? You could have done that. I don't really think many people would have cared.
That would not kill the ability for the theist to make shit up.
Well, I don't think what you did killed the ability for a theist to make shit up either.
If for Theo to dispute that, when I called Theo Warner, and I admit maybe this was a bad way to go about it, when I called him said he is a baby killer and all that stuff, that is my interpretation of a Christian, because that is in the Bible. He wants to deny that. So he wants to say that his interpretation of Christianity is what he actually is. Mm-hmm. But for him to deny what I said, he has to essentially debunk that what I said isn't Christianity, that is not what he is. But he can't do that now, because I've eliminated his ability to just make shit up. So if I will admit that, I will apologize if Theo Warner. The way it could have, like I said, it could have been anybody, but it happened to be Theo Warner. So I will apologize to him for calling him. I know Theo Warner would not kill a baby. I know Theo Warner is not a Nazi.
This is all anyone's cared about, by the way. I might say this is really the only thing that any of us have really had objection to. I mean, some of your logical statements, I think, are pretty crap too. But in terms of getting the vitriolic reaction you've gotten from me, from Big Lundy, from Skep, from multiple other atheists, and remember, other than Theo, for the most part, it's been almost virtually just entirely atheists coming at you. It's been because of those statements. That's the only. We might still disagree with you on what you're thinking about how to disprove God and how whatever, but that's the only reason why anyone's had a problem with you and what you've been saying.
I know, but then
I mean, you could have cleared this up from the very first video. Been like, "Whoa, I'm just trying to make a statement about this and that." If you would just said that, what you just said from the very beginning, most of us would have just said, "Okay, fine, we disagree, but you're not calling him a racist or whatever," and just left the issue alone.
No, but see, if I had come out and said that, if I had come out and said that, if I did not say it literally, then in my mind, people would have just ignored it. It would have just been ignored.
So
this is, if I had to let people know that interpretation can't be allowed in Christianity, period. That ability to make shit up. It had to just be made. If Theo Warner just happened to be the guy. So
you admitted you basically just trolled everyone?
Trolled? What do you mean trolled everyone?
I mean, basically you're saying stuff you didn't really believe to get attention to.
No. That is. You
just said you did it to get attention because people would have ignored you otherwise.
No. How can I put this? Christians, like I said, they say that the Bible is interpreted.
Yeah.
So what if someone came to me and said, I said to someone, they came to me with a Bible on the street and said, can I read some of these passages to you? And I said, sure. And they started reading the cherry-picked good bits and told me that's Christianity, so why don't you become a Christian?
Yeah, I would. You could easily write that.
My first answer to them would be, that's not Christianity. Christianity is ripping open pregnant women and turning people to pillars of salt.
You realize
their next reply to me would be, that's not Christianity. My next reply would be, prove it. That's what I do.
Your first reply wouldn't be, there's no evidence for God existing?
No, that's a waste. They can just make shit up.
Well, they can, but I mean, that's illogical.
And that's what you have to eliminate, that ability to make shit up.
Well, you didn't eliminate it. Though.
Yes. If he can't prove, if I ask him, if he can't prove what his religion is, if I asked him to prove what his religion is after I gave my interpretation of it, and he can't, that eliminated his ability to make it up.
Can you just go one step earlier and just say, prove a God exists?
Excuse me?
Couldn't you just go one step earlier than that and say, prove God exists, and they say no? Say, oh, well?
No, because he would have said, I told you, my purpose was to destroy the ability to make shit up. If you just say, prove a God exists, they can make shit up.
And they can.
If you destroy the ability to make shit up, and then you ask them to prove their God exists, they won't say anything.
Well, I don't think they're saying anything to you because they don't find you reasonable, to be honest. I don't think you've really...
Just like you don't, I guess.
Well, I don't, but...
Well, that's good for you, but you now know the true story. Behind what I said to Theo Warner was to eliminate his ability to make shit up and to show him that you just can't, this can't be allowed.
But I don't think you did that. I don't think that.
I know you don't want to, just like Theo Warner.
No, it's not that I don't want to. It's just that
you don't want to.
I am really impressed how you know my mind. I mean, that's a pretty good talent.
Yeah, listening to you reveals it all.
Yeah, you're a great detective. You should probably go apply to Scotland Yard. But it's again, I would say that most people will probably agree that you did not achieve your objective there.
Yes, well, most people that agree with you.
Well, that would be they would by default agree with me if.
So then most people isn't the entire world.
Well, I don't think the entire world watches our videos. But I mean, out of content, people on YouTube who watch this.
So then you shouldn't have said something like that.
Most people, I think it's pretty clear.
Most people.
I think it's pretty clear in context what I mean by most people. People who are aware of this exchange. If you want a clarification, people who are aware of this little brouhaha.
That I already know people don't disagree with me. If you want to reiterate it for the world you know you aren't affecting as well as me, then feel free.
You think you have a bigger impact on the world than I do?
Did you not hear me include myself in that?
I guess must have misheard you then.
Multiple things go over your head.
Yes, you're right. I am rather retarded.
You didn't hear me include myself in that.
I misheard.
What did you hear?
I thought you said not affecting the world as much as I have, but sometimes people mishear things.
See how that proves you hear what you want to hear.
No, that proves I misheard something.
Yeah.
And if that's not what you said, okay. People
then you should ask for clarification.
And you already clarified it. Well, you already clarified it, so I don't need to ask for your clarification.
For asking. Because you said...
Well, I said something, you said, no, that's not what I said. I said X.
Is there anything else you want to discuss concerning...
Not particularly. You pretty much answered it all.
Okay.
All the questions I have, so if you want, I'll be uploading this to YouTube. If you want to keep coming at me, you're more than welcome to. Just don't say... Just don't say shit like about Theo like that, or any other Christians without evidence like that again, and no one's really going to have a problem.
Yeah, hey, like I said, it happened to be Theo. I apologize to Theo. And
I want to make it clear, by the way, it's not just about, like, Theo in that. I mean, if you had done that against even someone like yes, I don't know, some other Christian. Yeah, exactly. That's I'm just clarifying.
But that's why I'm trying to tell you it wasn't about Theo or what he believes. It was the subject. And then, like I said, I am apologizing to Theo. It just happened to be Theo. And I understand perfectly well. It would have been anyone. It doesn't matter if it was Theo for you or anyone else. It just happened to be Theo. So, to get the point out, that's the way that's the way I thought I had to go about it. You may disagree, others may disagree, but that's the way I thought I had to get the point across. And some may think it's bad, and I don't particularly think it is because I did it. But, well, it happened to be Theo, and I'll apologize to him.
Okay, well, I guess that's it then. I don't really have any further questions unless you have any questions for me.
No, I'm all right.
Okay, then. Well, I guess that's it then. Thank you for calling in.
All right.
And I will talk to you maybe later. I'll upload this video sometime the next day or two and stuff. So, and if you want a copy of it, you're welcome to download my copy and use it or whatever. So,
all right.
I have no problem with that. Yep. Have a nice night.
You too.
Bye.